Morning, everybody. Wanted to officially welcome you all to our COVID and Cancer 4-week series on managing pandemic stress through hypnosis. We are so lucky this is the second session. We have Emma Ehrenzeller back with us. I will let her reintroduce herself and tell you specifically what this session is going to focus on. Some of you were here last week, some of you are new this week, but regardless, we are thrilled to have you here and know that it's going to be a positive experience for all. Again, we are recording this, and the benefit of that is you can go back and listen to the hypnosis part of things again, which, as Emma explained last week, each time you hear it, you can see it. Oops, I'm gonna. Oh, perfect. So each time you do it, it can have a different impact on you, and also to go through the educational part of things, which was super helpful last time. So Emma, I am passing the mic over to you and looking forward to spending the next hour-ish with you.
Amazing, amazing. Well, for starters, thank you again, everyone, for being here today. I see some familiar faces from last week and some new people this week. So one thing I just want to say right out the gate is hello and welcome. And secondly, I really like these workshops to feel a little bit more like a conversation than a lecture. So especially if you're new this week, if you have any questions at any point, please don't feel afraid to unmute yourself and share. If you have any comments or just something you want me to clarify, please feel free to. I'll also open up spaces throughout the presentation for different questions, but just know I like to get to know you guys as we do this, and I'd love to hear from y'all. Especially when we get into the hypnosis portion. Beforehand, I'm going to open up some space about, if you have any questions about hypnosis, anything you want me to address about things you've heard about in the past. Last week, we went really deep into what hypnosis is. This week, we're not going to go that deep. So if you're new this week and you want me to answer any questions about what it is and, what you're going to experience beyond what I'll already be sharing with you, please let me know, and we'll talk more about it throughout the session. So for starters, today we are talking about stress and stressors and the difference between both. All right, we're going to go into how you can manage both and how hypnosis, of course, can be a tool to help you overcome both your stress and your stressors. So a quick breakdown of our schedule. We are going to go into the difference between stress and stressors, how you can manage both, how hypnosis is a tool for both of them, and some other tactics you can use. And we are going to end with a hypnosis session, just like we did last week. So if you are new here this week, hello, my name is Emma Ehrenzeller. I am a certified life coach and hypnotist, and I'm passionate about a lot of things, but one big one is helping people be happier being themselves. In school, I studied public health, and I originally went down the nonprofit road, really loved my work there, but just didn't feel like it was sustainable, and I didn't really feel like I was having the impact I wanted to on a bigger scale. I've always been curious about science, always really into the self-help, personal development stuff. So when COVID happened and the world crumbled, and it's still kind of crumbling today, but the initial shock of it got over, I decided, why don't I kind of rebuild my life in a way that really aligns with my passions and what I want to bring into the world. So becoming a hypnotist, becoming a life coach is what has let me do that. And, whether it's working one-on-one with people or doing amazing sessions like this, I just really love the work I do and really love helping people be happier, build more inner peace, and just come into a sense of calm empowerment for who they are and wherever they're at in life. So yeah, that's me. Thank you for being here. And let's go ahead and get started. So today we are going to talk all about the stress response cycle. So the stress response cycle is the biological process that stress has in our body. There are 3 simple points of the SRC, stress response cycle. It starts with, we notice that there's some kind of stressor in our internal or external environment, right? There's something that causes stress. The stressor then triggers the fight or flight response in our body. Now, if you are more well-versed with stress and its effects and all the different theories around it, you might have also heard of the freeze response. Some people talk about the fawn response. Just want to let you know we're really only going to be talking about fight or flight today, but if you are curious, you can do more reading about those other things as well. But I just wanted to acknowledge those to begin. So our body then has a response to the stressor, normally in the case of fight or flight. But then after that, our body is somehow shown that we are safe, right? We overcome the stressor. The threat is subdued. We make it to our appointment on time and we are suddenly no longer stressed, right? Somehow our body is cued that we are now physically safe and we have overcome the stress. Those are the three main points of the stress response cycle. However, in modern day, the stressors that we see are very different from what our stress responses evolved to take care of, right? Stressors in day-to-day life are going to be maybe running late, a disagreement with a friend, different things like that. And what we're going to be talking about and really getting deep into today is how the way that we manage our stressors is not always helpful for actually managing the stress that manifests in our body from stressors, right? There's a little bit of a divergence in modern day society that lets stress build up more and more and more in our body. So today we're going to go into how you can manage both of those things. So first thing you need to know is a stress response cycle. And we're going to start with a really simple example to outline how this works in the body. So let's kick it back many years ago where you would be in some kind of situation where you are being chased by a lion. Oh my goodness. Unless you've worked as a zookeeper or you've been on many safaris in your life, I take it this has not been a real life example for anyone, but it's very clear cut and it demonstrates exactly what we're talking about here. So let's say, from across the field, first step in the stress response cycle, you notice the lion, you notice the threat. Okay, your fight or flight response is then activated. And quite understandably, your mind goes, not quite in the mood to fight a lion, so we're going to run as fast as we can to evade this predator, okay? So you start bolting, you try to, make it home. And what's happening in your body when we're at this point in the stress response cycle is all of the energy is being diverted to your muscles, to your arms and legs, so that you can pump your arms and run your legs even faster. Your heart is racing so that the blood and the oxygen can pump out to your muscles. The focus is no longer on digestion for your body or any other kind of like day-to-day involuntary tasks for your body. Everything in your body is now focused on escaping this predator. And lo and behold, you make it home safe, right? You make it back to your cave, to your hut, wherever you're living at this point in time. You celebrate with your family. Maybe you jump up and down, you hug them. You effectively ran all the way back to a place of safety for you. You alerted the community and they were able to subdue the threat. They chased off the lion, they got rid of it, whatever happened. And all of these different things are happening to show you that you are safe. There's a lot of different cues for your body to show, hey, we are no longer running from a lion. We have effectively carried out the flight response. And now we are with people we love. We're in a space that we know is safe. And we know that the stressor has also been handled in some form or fashion. So we see the full stress response cycle happening here, from noticing the trigger for stress, having the stress response in our body, and actually coming back into a sense of safety in both our mind and our body. Okay? So in this example, very understandably, the lion is the stressor. I would be pretty stressed out if I saw a lion in my backyard, right? So the lion here is the stressor. The stress, on the other hand, is what is happening in the person's body themselves. It is how the energy goes to their muscles, how their heart rate increases. All of this stuff is stress and stressors. So let's get a little bit deeper into what stressors actually look like in day-to-day life, because they're not normally lions. So if we just flat out define stress and stressors, we start with stress like we talked about last week. Stress is the body's physical, mental, and emotional response to internal or external challenges and changes, right? Stress is predominantly physical, but when it is carried out over time in a chronic way, it begins to have mental and emotional effects as well, like we discussed last week. But pretty straightforward. It's something happening in the body in relation to a stressor, right? The stressor is that internal or external challenge or change. It's something which then triggers that stress response cycle. Okay, so if we unpack a little bit and talk about what stressors can look like in day-to-day life. So we can have acute and chronic stressors, right? So the lion is a great example of an acute stressor, right? It's just something that comes up that you can, in some way or another, manage near instantly, whether successfully or not, depends on how fast you can run, right? But we're not really battling lions in our day-to-day life. But what we might encounter are, maybe a rude coworker or someone who brushes you the wrong way on the metro, or maybe getting stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. You might have a disagreement with a friend or a family member. All of these are more like one-off situational things that could, in theory, be managed with some kind of action, right? There's something that happens that you can sort of tie up in a bow and handle in one way or another if you want to. We also have chronic stressors, however. These can be a lot of different things. The pandemic is probably a perfect example of a chronic stressor. Whether or not you've gotten COVID, just living in this environment of stress, of worry, of so much change, that is inherently stressful for both our mental and physical systems, right? Living with a chronic illness. I know you all are cancer survivors or dealing with cancer. That is also, for a lot of people, going to be a chronic source of stress. Having any kind of issues with money, these are different things that can weigh on us and aren't necessarily things where we can just have a conversation with someone or, leave extra early for an important meeting. There's not necessarily tangible actions we can do to alleviate and fix that stressor, right? So we have acute and chronic stressors. And there's also another two layers. There are internal and external stressors. So almost everything I just described is going to be an external stressor. It's something in your external environment. It's a disagreement with a friend. It is, the state of the world, different things like that. An internal stressor, on the other hand, are going to be things in your mental space that still elicit that stress response. So this might be worrisome thoughts about the future. If you are having a disagreement with a friend, that in itself can be stressful. But if there are additional anxious thoughts about what that means for your relationship, if you're really worried about what you might have to do, there are internal sources of stress from that external trigger as well. So when we think about managing our stressors, it's helpful to kind of sort them out of what can I easily manage and deal with versus what is going to be a little bit more of a long game that I have to learn to come to terms with in some way or another, or take, more long-standing actions towards. So stressors are things that we can manage in some way or another, even if they're more chronic and long-term. However, whether we can manage our stressors or not, right? Whether they're acute or chronic, stressors are all causing stress in our body. They're all activating this fight, flight, freeze response to some extent in our body. So here we get to a very key piece about stress and stressors, and it's something that we're not really taught. Like I said earlier, I was a public health major, and I didn't really know about this stuff until I read it in a book fairly recently about this very nuanced conversation about stress. But basically, just because you have managed a stressor, a cause of stress you have alleviated, doesn't mean that you've dealt with the stress that has been built up in your body from that stress. To actually alleviate the stress in your body that's built up from the stressor, it's very physical. You have to let your body know that you're safe. You have to give it some kind of variety of cue to know we are no longer running from the lion. We've made it to our appointment on time. We're no longer in this disagreement with someone. Now let's release all of that stress that you've built up from the stressor. So to clarify what this kind of means and like how this plays out in real life, let's go back to our lion example. Let's say, again, you are Usain Bolt style running from the lion, and out of nowhere, a lightning bolt comes down from the sky, strikes the lion, they pass out. and you realize, oh my goodness, yay, huzzah, I no longer am being chased by a lion. This is amazing, right? In your mental space, you are feeling great because now you don't have to fight a lion or keep running. But in your physical body, you're probably still going to feel like, oh my goodness, like, what am I supposed to do? There's still going to be that jittery energy because your body had just geared up to sprint all the way home, to fight, to do some kind of action to alleviate this stressor, to respond to this stressor. But now the stressor is suddenly just gone. With your mind, you're able to comprehend that, but your body is slower to catch up. It doesn't allow you to do all three parts of the stress response cycle when you just stop in your tracks, stop running, and try to conceptualize, okay, I just sent all this energy out to my muscles, my heart is racing. I have all these physical cues that I'm not safe, but I also have this one visual cue that I am safe. It's very hard for the body and brain to meet each other at that level. So there's a few things happening in our original example that we'll get to in just a moment, but I also want us to conceptualize this in a more like practical day-to-day example, right? So let's say you have an important meeting or appointment. Let's say you're kind of like me and you really like to be early for things all the time. And if you're not early, you consider yourself late and you get very stressed out, okay? Let's say on this particular day, you leave 10 minutes early, but you still get stuck in traffic, or the subway is running late. Something's happening and basically you get scared that you're going to be late. That becomes a trigger for stress and you begin to feel the stress rise in your body. Maybe you get a little bit jittery, maybe your thoughts race a little bit, you feel your heart beating, you're like, oh, can we just get there already, right? But you're a prepared person and you actually end up making it to the appointment 5 minutes early, right? So mentally you're like, whew, okay, we've managed the stressor, we don't have to worry anymore. But I'm sure we've all had an experience where you sit in that waiting room for 5 minutes. And even though mentally you know you're on time, your body is still in the rush kind of panic mode. Maybe you're wringing your hands. Maybe you're bouncing your knees. Maybe it's taking some time for your heart rate to slow down. You're kind of like, why am I still feeling stressed? I know I made it to the appointment on time. It's because your body didn't have any cue to know, hey, we're safe now. We've made it here. There's no longer a source of stress, right? I'm sure everyone's had an experience like that at some point. So if we look back at the original example, the original story, there are a few different things happening other than just escaping from the lion that help this person complete the stress response cycle. So we see first and foremost that there is running and physical movement, okay? Their entire body gears up for flight and they're able to complete that action, right? They are able to fly home, make it back to their cave, their community. But there's also other things happening here. When they get home, they maybe jump up and down, they get more in their body, and they also hug people that are close to them, family, friends. They have different physical cues to show, oh, okay, I wouldn't be hugging people if I was no longer safe, right? That must mean I am safe. Their body has different things to help it drop out of stress mode and into safe mode, right? They're able to alert the community that there is this stressor out there and that stressor is able to be managed. That gives them that sense of mental safety, but also physical safety, knowing that the stressor is no longer in their environment. There's a lot of different things happening, especially to deal with social cues and people in the environment completing the stress cycle that helps this person let their body know, not just their mind, but also their body know that they are now safe. So in a moment, I'm going to get into a few different stress management techniques and also stressor management, but I do want to pause here and just see, does anyone have any questions or anything I can clarify at this point? Awesome. 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 All right. Let's get into how you can manage stressors, the modern day lions. So This is pretty straightforward, right? You've been managing stressors your whole life, whether they're chronic or acute, whether they're internal or external, right? Managing a stressor just means taking some kind of action to remove it from your life or decrease its intensity, right? It's going to be different for every person, every situation, every stressor. Some examples of what this can look like, however, when we think about just checking, very good analogy with the line. Good. I'm glad that that was helpful to kind of outline it in a very clear cut kind of way. Thank you. So, some examples of how we can manage our stressors, right? When they're interpersonal issues, we can have more open and effective communication with people, let them know how we feel rather than responding to any kind of passive aggressive language or things like that that just don't help alleviate the stress. We can set boundaries with others when we feel like, there's being too much asked of us and we don't have the capacity to help them, right? Whatever it might be. When we have more chronic stressors, we can turn to support groups like you all are so beautifully doing here in Woman to Woman. It's an amazing place to remind yourself, I actually have a whole community of people who are dealing with something similar that I can turn to, right? That I can find safety in, that I know I'm not alone in. When we think about internal stressors, the conversations in our minds and, all of the negative thinking, mindfulness becomes a really great tool. If we can change our relationship to our thoughts, then we can change the heaviness that some of those thoughts and those worries might have on us, change the way that they do or do not activate the stress response cycle. So, simply put, there's a lot of ways you can manage stressors. And we're actually more focused on managing stress and stressors because I want you to think about stress and stressors like a pressure cooker. I want you to follow me on this. I'm going to be honest. I've never actually used a pressure cooker, but this is how I imagine they work. And I think you're going to be able to follow me on this. So let's say we have a pressure cooker and we are going to relate a stressor to the building of that pressure in the pressure cooker. Let's say you have a difficult conversation with a family member that you have just been putting off for ages and you just don't want to talk about it, but you know that you have to. Every day that you avoid the conversation, you feel the stress build and build and build. You feel the pressure increase and increase and increase, right? Builds a little bit more every single day you avoid the conversation. Let's say, however, you finally have the conversation. You've been waiting on it for 5 days. Each day, the stress built up a little bit more, but on day 5, you have this conversation. You feel great. You're so happy that it's over with and done. So you no longer are adding to the pressure on your pressure cooker. You're not adding any more stress. However, for 5 days, you have been building up stress in your body. There has been an accumulation of this whole stress response in your body that has not been dealt with simply by having the conversation. By managing the stressor, you're no longer adding pressure, but you still need to let the steam out, let that pressure out so that you can actually manage the stress that it has built up. Right? Does this make sense? Is this clicking for you guys? Like I said, it's a very nuanced conversation. I find it so interesting that it doesn't come up that much, but we want to, yes, manage our stressors, but also manage the stress that those stressors have caused. So here are some different ways that you can manage your stress. The first and foremost way, the most effective way that you can manage your stress is through movement. Okay, research has shown this is the single most effective way to managing stress. 20 to 60 minutes of movement, physical activity, or exercise per day. Now, I know that physical activity and exercise isn't always accessible or super possible for every person. Some people might have injury, might have arthritis. Some people just straight up do not like exercise, and that is also okay. What we're going to be doing today before our hypnosis session, as part of the hypnosis session essentially, is something called progressive neuromuscular relaxation. And it's something you can use in lieu of doing physical activity or exercise to help move the stress out of your body, to take the pressure out of the pressure cooker, right? So what this is going to entail, I'm going to explain it all when we do it, but I'm going to reiterate this a few times because I really want people to do it in a way that's going to feel good for them. What it's going to entail is tensing up a certain part of your body and then releasing that tension. And then we're going to tense the next part of your body, and then release that tension. It's a way where you are actively moving and tensing different parts of your body the same way you would in exercise or physical activity, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't have to be straining or difficult. You can do it in the comfort of a chair or a bed, whatever is comfortable for you. However, as we do this in a few minutes from now, I want you to be very mindful of if you have any areas in your body where you have an injury. Let's say I have tendonitis in my right ankle. So one of the things I'll ask you to do is flex your feet. You'll flex your feet really hard for 5 seconds. If you know that that's something that is going to be a little bit uncomfortable or potentially even painful for you, I do not want you to do that part of your body, right? You'll just focus on relaxing that part, and then we will move on. You'll move on with us to the next section, okay? So first we have movement, single most effective way, and if exercise isn't your thing, then today we're going to do a method that you can do instead of exercise, all right? But there's also a lot of other ways that you can signal to your body, hey, we are safe. We're no longer in stress mode, and we are allowed to complete this stress response cycle from the day. All right. The first one, and I think this is really poetic and romantic and beautiful, but it's seeking out affection. Okay. It's all about intentional, really grounded affection with others. So, some examples that they've given and seen in research. One is a 20-second hug. Okay. So, not just like you're almost out the door, you give a little one arm side hug with a pat. That's not really going to do much for you. It's sweet, but it's not really a cue to your body. Hey, we're safe, we're calm, it's fine. Instead, they recommend seeking out a 20-second hug because 20 seconds is kind of a long time, right? It's kind of you got to sit there for a second in the hug and really be present with that person. It helps you get out of this swirling mental space and into, okay, wait. I'm back here. My body is physically connected to someone else that I feel comfortable with, that I maybe love, have appreciation for, and it helps you tap back into the present moment. Another example that they give where seeking out affection can help you decrease your stress is a 6-second kiss. Okay. So not just a quick peck out the door, but if you have a partner, having a longer intentional kiss, something that again can signal to your body, I am safe. If I was being chased by a lion, I would not take 6 seconds to kiss someone. But if I made it back safely and I knew the lion was no longer chasing me, well, yeah, I would probably give long, appreciative hugs and with my partner, a longer, more intentional kiss. So number one is seek out affection. I once read a statistic, and I don't have a citation for this, but statistic is something like we need 13 hugs a day to, feel balanced in our mental health. And I know I don't give that many hugs a day, maybe to my corgi Pearl I do, but it's just a good reminder of, affection is one of those things we can breeze over in our day-to-day life. And not only is it, happier, connection boosting, all this stuff, but it also can help us complete this stress response cycle and come back into a sense of calm. So affection is number one. Major downside to COVID, just reading the comments, no hugs. Absolutely. If there's someone, though, that you're with often or you live with, it's a great place for hugs. Or, like I said earlier, if you have a dog or a cat, something like that you can also let that affection out with. It's just a beautiful thing you can do for yourself and also your stress. Second one, this probably won't come as a surprise either, but it's to laugh. Not just like a nice cordial laugh, but like a deep belly laugh, whether you have someone you can call up on the phone and you know that you're just going to have a hoot and a holler talking to each other, or if you have a show or maybe, a comedy stand-up special that's your favorite. Finding little outlets for laughter is a really great place to start as well, because I, again, want you to think, if I was being chased by a lion, would I stop in the middle to laugh out loud? No, you probably wouldn't. It's these things in our day to day that can really signal to our brain, to our body that, hey, I am safe. I'm in a comfortable environment and I'm allowed to do these things because I'm not being, I'm not being subdued by some kind of predator or stressor. So laughter is genuine medicine. Research has shown it. So seek out different things that can help you laugh, and get into a more easeful state at the end of the day or in little bursts between your day. So the next one we have is making time for creative expression. Okay, creative expression can mean a lot of different things. For you, you might have enjoyed painting at one time in your life, maybe writing poetry, maybe dancing, right? It can be anything. And one thing that's important about it is it does not have to be good. I like to write poetry from time to time. I would not want anyone for the life of me to read it, but it is fun to do, right? I'm sure you've experienced in whatever form of creativity you've ever enjoyed, it drops you into a different state of being, right? It uses a whole different part of your brain. It takes you out of that fear-based worry, amygdala kind of space and into this more creative, flowing space. And research has shown, again, it's a way that you can shift out of that stress response cycle, complete it, and show yourself that you are safe and you're allowed to come back into a sense of calm. The next one, obviously, is expressing your feelings, but what they specifically show in research is that a good, like healthy, big cry can be really cathartic and be very helpful in completing the stress response cycle. When you cry, you actually release a lot of chemicals and at times release oxytocin as you do so. These are some of the feel-good emotions. So I'm sure we've all experienced at some point, having a big old cry, and maybe in the time that you're crying, it doesn't feel very good, but you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, wow. Whew. It's almost kind of like the same feeling after a long workout. Like you're just like, whew, like I just feel so much better now, or at least I just feel level. So if you are, someone who's more tapped into your emotions, it's easier for you to cry. Let yourself from time to time. Know that it will be a stress relieving activity. All right. And the last ones that we have, real shocker here, meditation and hypnosis. Meditation can be especially helpful because with meditation, a lot of times it's focused on mindfulness. Okay. So we're looking at observing our thoughts rather than, every worrisome, troubling thought about the future, about our life, not necessarily believing each one. You can just kind of see it float by and train yourself to not go down every rabbit hole your brain takes you on. So meditation, also just finding that sense of calm, peacefulness at the end of the day, if you enjoy meditation and it's stress relieving for you. For some people, it's not as much because they really have a lot of mental chatter, and that's okay too. That also then brings us to hypnosis, okay? Hypnosis is unique because it can help us manage our stress and manage our stressors, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, with progressive neuromuscular relaxation, the exercise we're gonna do today where you tense your muscles and then release them, that can help you manage the stress itself, right? Also, what we did last week, if you remember, if you were here, we just did what's called just progressive muscle relaxation. If you like yoga, it's very similar to a yoga nidra sort of meditation. It's just a process of scanning your body and relaxing all of the muscles in your body. Both of these things can tap you into your body and signal, I am safe. So hypnosis, a lot of the techniques we use in hypnosis are great for relieving stress. What's interesting about hypnosis, though, is it also helps us manage our stressors. So if you remember, stressors can be a lot of things. Stressors can also just be endemic to the way that we go about life, right? Last week, we talked a little bit about beliefs, and not beliefs in like the faith or political realm, but beliefs in the way of what you believe about yourself and what you believe about the world. Sometimes the beliefs that we carry can add undue stress onto us and be an ongoing stressor. So a really clear example I like to give is, I'm responsible, having the belief that I'm responsible for other people's happiness, right? It's my responsibility to make other people happy all of the time. This is not a bad thing. This is a beautiful thing. It's a very caring, nurturing, sort of like caregiver thing. And oftentimes, women kind of hold these roles of the caregiver, the nurturer, especially when it comes to emotions. However, at times this can put undue responsibility on you. And a lot of times what we'll see is people focusing a lot on other people's emotions and ignoring their own. This can build stress over time, right? So when we can use something like hypnosis to add in beliefs of, I'm allowed to set boundaries with other people's emotions, or I don't have to be every single person's caretaker. Just things like that to lessen some of that responsibility that we at times put on ourselves. That can help make it so there's not so many causes of stress just by how we navigate the world. So when it comes to beliefs and just changing these, it can be very nuanced and it's very specific to one person and what their life experience has been. But it's something helpful to keep in mind. How are you navigating the world? And are all of the things you believe about yourself and your role in your relationships, are they helping you further your relationships? Are they leaving you feeling more stressed? So that's just an ongoing inquiry for you to consider of, do I have any beliefs that are continuing stressors? And the last part is hypnosis and what we're going to do today, what we did last week. Also going to start adding in some beliefs of, you are capable. You are able to manage whatever comes into your life. When you have more of those kind of beliefs, it becomes easier to manage whatever stressors might arise, right? Or manage whatever stress might arise because you trust yourself to go through it, okay? So that's hypnosis for managing stress and stressors. This was from our slide deck last week. I'm not going to go into these different research studies, but I did just want to flash them on the screen quickly and just let y'all know that hypnosis has been studied in a lot of clinical clinical settings for stress relief. These are some of my favorites. So if you are watching the recording at a later time, maybe pause and read through these. But I just like to show this, especially for the new folks this week, to let you know that hypnosis has been studied by researchers. There is a very prominent medical doctor and PhD at Stanford who does a lot of research on hypnosis and shows its effectiveness for things like stress reduction. So I just like to kind of flash this on the screen, remind you if you weren't here last week, and even if you were, hypnosis is used a lot for stress reduction. So that is our conversation for today. Before we get started with the hypnosis portion, I'm curious, does anyone have any questions about anything we've talked about up to this point? All good? Awesome. So if you weren't here last week, I just want to quickly breeze over this. This is the hypnosis disclaimer I give all of my clients. And essentially what it is saying is hypnosis is not a substitute for any kind of medical or mental health treatment or attention. It is a supplement to help you boost any kind of self-improvement. Today, we're going to be doing stress relief. At the end, it just goes through that you're willing to be guided through relaxation, visual imagery, visualization, and various stress reduction processes. So because we don't do an official sign off, if I could just get everyone to unmute themselves and say yes as a verbal confirmation to this disclaimer, that'd be fabulous.
Yes.
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 Awesome. Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to get started in just a few moments with hypnosis. I'm going to try to give you a really quick overview of hypnosis if you were not here last week. So I'm a certified hypnotist, and there's a lot of jargony explanations about hypnosis. All I really want you to know about it is a deep guided meditation. At the end of the day, it's really, if you've ever done any kind of meditation, it's that, but we're going deeper. We're relaxing your body so that your mind can just be tuned into the different visualizations that I'll guide you through, okay? Before I begin to set you guys up for the session itself, does anyone who wasn't here last week, or if you were here last week, do you have any questions about hypnosis, what you can expect from today's session, myths you've heard in the past, truly anything at all? Happy to answer here. Okay, awesome. Well, great. We're going to dive right in then. So a few things I want you to be mindful of. This is my hypnosis monologue. I'm going to do it every single session we have together. As we go through the session, the first and foremost priority is you being comfortable. Okay, so what I normally recommend is you sitting in a chair, ideally with your back and your neck supported. This isn't necessarily possible for everyone where they're located, and that's totally okay. But if you can get somewhere where you can lean your back back and have your neck supported while you're still sitting up, I always recommend that. It lets you relax your muscles a little more. With that, as we go through, if you need to scratch your nose or if you need to kind of shift your positioning, please feel free. It's not going to just magically take you out of hypnosis. Feel free to do whatever you need in the session to get more comfortable. Second thing, you are in control the entire time. Like I said, this is a deep guided meditation. You get to decide the kind of things that you will visualize, what you're going to experience in this session. Last week, we had some great conversations about that afterwards, but just know if I tell you to see a bunny rabbit and you want to see a squirrel, you are more than welcome to do that. I give you full freedom and control for the purposes of this session. The next thing, as we go through, you might notice a few different experiences in your body. One that's pretty common is a sense of heaviness, kind of like you're melting, you're just so relaxed. Another is a sense of lightness, like you're floating. This is also very, very common, okay? Some other kind of odd ones you might experience, you might have excess salivation in your mouth, your eyelids might be fluttering. All of these are totally okay. They're totally normal. And the last thing I'm going to mention, I'm going to say this again in the session itself. When we start with the progressive neuromuscular relaxation, if you have any injuries or areas where you know you're prone to discomfort, do not tense your muscles in these areas. Instead, what you can do is just focus on relaxing that area, okay? If I say flex your feet and you know you have tendonitis or something, just focus on relaxing all of the muscles in your ankles and feet, okay? Awesome. Before we get started, does anyone have any questions? No? Awesome. You guys we are rocking and rolling today. Okay, well, without further ado, I'd like you to go ahead and start getting comfortable. And when you're ready, just close your eyes. Good, good. All right, so with your eyes closed, we're just going to take a few deep, calming breaths. So start by just breathing in for 4. Hold it for 2. And exhale for 6. And again, inhale for 4. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. And again, one last time, inhale for 4. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. Good, good. We're going to start today with a progressive neuromuscular relaxation. Simply get yourself as comfortable as possible. And as we go through this process, proceed with respect for any physical limitations you may have. Do not do anything that causes you pain or injury, or if you know that you have an area of tenseness or injury, just do not tense those areas. So to begin, I'd like you to take a moment and just become aware of your feet and how they feel. As you do, I want you to pull back on your feet, almost like you're trying to touch your knees with your toes. Flex your feet and hold that position for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now just release those muscles and let the muscles in your feet go loose and slack. Just allow them to relax. Feel the peacefulness flowing into your feet. Good. Take some time to notice the difference between tension and relaxation. Good, good. Now you just take another slow, deep breath. I want you to straighten your legs. You use your front thigh muscles, straightening your knees, making them unbendable, and just pause for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now release those muscles, just letting them go slack, letting them go loose and limp, allowing them to completely relax. Take some time to notice how good it feels as the relaxation flows from your thighs to your knees, all the way down through your calves. Good. Now, just tighten your stomach muscles as much as you can. You just tense your abdomen quickly and hold it for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Now just release and allow your stomach muscles to relax. You feel the sense of peacefulness entering your abdomen, flowing all around your stomach muscles and your internal organs. You feel all of your lower body just feeling so good and so at peace. Good, good. Now, take another relaxing breath. You just bend your elbows until your hands are close to your shoulders. With each hand, you form a fist. Each hand, just clenching your fists and pulling your elbows back, almost like you were holding a team of runaway horses. You just hold that for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now just release and relax your arms completely. You feel that relaxation flow in stark contrast from the tension. The relaxation moving from your arms, your shoulders, your elbows, all the way down to your wrists and the palms of your hands. Feeling yourself relaxed and at peace. You also feel the sense of peacefulness just enter at the crown of your head. You feel this calm peacefulness flow down your eyebrows, relaxing your eyebrows, relaxing your eyes, down to your mouth and lips. You slack your jaw. You feel so good and so relaxed. You just allow the relaxation to flow through your body, noticing the sensations, feeling like a warm, heavy fluid, just filling and gently swirling through your body. You feel so completely relaxed now, with all tension just flowing out of your body. Good. Now, feeling relaxed and comfortable, I'd like you to imagine yourself in a peaceful, quiet place in nature. You find yourself walking along a path. Maybe you're on a hike in the woods. Maybe you're sitting at the beach. Maybe you're in the mountains or on a river. You just find yourself tuning into this environment. What do you hear? What kind of colors do you see around you? You take a deep breath here and just smell the fresh outside air. You feel so good and so relaxed here, like you're tapped into the peacefulness surrounding you. So you continue walking along this path, feeling so good. You see how bright and vibrant the nature is around you. Maybe you hear water flowing nearby. but you just feel connected to this natural environment, totally at peace. And as you continue walking along this path, I'm going to count backwards from 10 to 1. With each count, you'll find yourself becoming more and more relaxed, more and more at ease, and more tapped into this beautiful place around you. So 10, just taking another step along your path. 9, hearing the birds singing in the distance. 8, feeling so good as the fresh outdoor air enters your nostrils. 7, feeling your body just sink deeper and deeper to relaxation. 6, noticing the blue skies overhead, maybe a soft breeze. 5, feeling the sun just gently warm your skin. 4, deeper you go, better you feel. 3, better you feel, deeper you go, all the way down to 2 and 1. Feeling so good, so completely at peace. So good. You've now become so relaxed that your subconscious mind is ready for new, empowering suggestions about managing the stress and stressors in your life. You are ready to feel a deepened sense of peace, and by showing up today, you've already taken the first step. So you just allow yourself to let this relaxation spread all throughout your mind and body. You just drift deeper and deeper, feeling so calm and so relaxed. In this relaxation, you just become aware of the gentle beating of your strong heart. You feel the natural rhythm of every breath, breathing gently and slowly, slowly and evenly. Now, I'd like you to create a vivid picture in your mind, a beautiful scene in nature. You can go back to the same place in nature you are already at, or you can create a new one. You take time to build out the image around you again. You hear birds chirping and singing in the background. Maybe you smell the freshness of the natural world in the air. And maybe that freshness is so rich, almost feels like you can taste it. That crisp outdoor feeling. There are blue skies all around and the temperature is perfect on your skin. It's almost like you're just absorbing the peacefulness of this place you're in. And the longer you're here, the more relaxed you find yourself becoming. And in this peaceful place, you go ahead and find a seat somewhere. Maybe you find a flat white, fluffy comforter laid out. Maybe there's a beach chair with a cool, refreshing drink in the cup holder. Maybe you just choose a sturdy log to sit on in this beautiful place. Whatever you see, you go ahead, find your seat, feeling your body just melt into whatever you choose. And a few feet away, now that you're seated, you notice a baby rabbit hopping and playing around. You see its white tail bouncing up and down. Maybe you watch as it scratches its nose. You just sit and watch this little bunny for a few moments. entranced by this small animal. Then, out of nowhere, the rabbit just bolts away. It almost looks as if it was scared of something, like it noticed something nearby waiting to pounce. The bunny quickly disappears down a burrow with a strong kick of its legs, and it safely escapes whatever it saw. You notice how the small bunny was using their fight or flight instinct to help them escape safely. It's just a primitive response to help them survive. In this response, their heart rate would have increased. All the energy was sent to her muscles. You watched as it jumped away so quickly, and that's because blood went from her digestion to her legs and arms so they could move faster. Her whole body was reworking itself so that she could effectively manage and make home safely. And she did. And as people, we have similar responses. But in our modern day world, rarely are the threats like those of this bunny. In modern society, we can't always use this fight or flight response. It's not always necessary or socially appropriate. This often traps our body in the middle of stress response cycle. The stress can remain locked in our body for a period of time, which is undesirable for us. But by creating more awareness of this stress in your body, you can manage the stress sooner and more effectively, coming back into a sense of freedom, lightness, and safety in your body. Good. So, we're going to work on a new technique you can use when you find old stressful feelings return. To do this, I just want you to start by thinking of what area of your body you normally feel stress. For some people, it might be in their chest. For other people, their throat or the back of their neck. Maybe for you, it's somewhere totally different. Just be aware of where those unwanted feelings of stress show themselves, and remember, your body is just experiencing a primitive response and needs a little help in order to feel safe and feel better. So just focus on where you normally feel stress in your body, just for a second or two, wherever it is in your body. I want you to visualize this feeling. If it was a shape, what shape would it be? If it had a color, what color would it be? Just imagine this formed color representing your stress wherever it is in your body now. Maybe you see a green square over your heart, or maybe a red circle in your throat. Build out this image just for a moment, remembering you're peaceful and safe here now. Now I want you to just imagine this shape or this color shrinking in size. Wherever it is in your body, you just see it getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it's just a very tiny, manageable little form. Maybe it's now just a tiny red dot on your neck, or a small green square in your heart space. Whatever you see, you just watch as you shrink this feeling. And as you do, you feel a sense of pride arise. You feel in control. You realize that you can manage the physical feelings of stress and that you can make them smaller. You can let your body know that you are safe simply by coming to this calm, relaxing place in your mind. Now, you direct the small, colored shape representing your old stress to the top of your shoulder. Whether it's traveling from your heart space, maybe your head, your neck, you just see it move to the top of one of your shoulders. You visualize the shape moving down your arm, going all the way into the palm of your hand. It's almost like you're just holding this small shape, this little burst of stress in the palm of your hand. You see how it's so small, so easy to move and change, to mold and manage. And maybe you just take a moment to ball up your fist in your mind's eye, tightening your grip on this old, unwanted stress. And you imagine yourself throwing it away. You use all of the might in your mind to just throw this small shape representing your stress away from you. You're getting rid of it and removing it from your body for good. And as you discard that old ball of stress, your body feels lighter. In your mind, you feel happier. And you realize that you are in control. You feel a sense of lightness and freedom, like you've let go of so much. And you realize it's easy for you to take back control and release old stress in your life. You removed that stressful feeling and have come back into a sense of calm, peacefulness. So in your mind's eye, you again find yourself in this peaceful, calming place in nature. Just take a deep inhale, feeling the freshness of the outdoors enter your nostrils. You feel even more at peace and calm. You know in the future, you can always return to this peaceful place and to these techniques of relaxing your body, letting yourself know that you're safe whenever stress arises in the future. As you go through your day, just remember to check your body for tightness, relax any muscles, soothe any part of your body that feels tight. Maybe you just take a breath. Remember this peaceful place in nature. Remember your ability to visualize and just remove your stress from your body, coming back into a light, peaceful feeling of safety. From this, you feel deeply that you are in charge. You have the capability, the tools, and the knowledge to release old, unwanted stress and feelings. And from now on, you find yourself feeling so much lighter and happier, so much more confident too. Those old stressors fall away and your body feels more and more light and peaceful as you go through your day. And as you practice these techniques more and more, you see how your responses to stressors will change. And you know that your new pattern is one of calm, of control, and feeling in charge, and feeling amazingly relaxed at the same time. It's good. And these suggestions are firmly embedded in your subconscious mind, and your sense of calm grows stronger and stronger day by day. The sense of peacefulness grows stronger by the day, stronger by the hour, and stronger by the minute. So in a moment, I'm going to count the numbers from 1 to 5. At the count of 5, you'll be wide awake, feeling refreshed and alert, and ready to allow these suggestions to work for you. So 1, 2, just coming back into your body. 3, swaying a bit back and forth. 4, eyelids beginning to flutter. And 5, eyes wide open, feeling wide awake and at peace. Alrighty, take your time coming back to good morning, hello, and whenever you feel ready, feel free to unmute yourself and let me know anything you experienced in that session.
I just want to say I put myself on a boat, so watching the bunny.
I love that.
I substituted a dolphin for the bunny.
Oh, I love that. I know last week we had someone who had other great ideas, but when I say you're in control, that's exactly what I want you to do. Get creative, use your imagination. So thank you for sharing that. That makes me so happy. Awesome. Anyone else? No worries if not.
I'm working from home today, and I have my dog and my brother's dog here. And at one point they started barking. So I just incorporated that. I was on a beach, so I just heard dogs in the distance on the beach. So I think being able to be in control kind of worked in that case, as opposed to a regular meditation where I'd have been worried that it was distracting me.
Right. Absolutely. All right. And no pressure. Anyone else want to share anything? We'll go ahead and close out if not. All righty. Well, just to sum up today, we talked about the difference between stress and stressors. You have a lot of tools in your toolbox now to manage both, especially this session at the end of the day, or that we closed with today. As Rachel mentioned in the beginning, there will be recordings sent out, and I always recommend, coming back to this recording from the one from the past session. Any future sessions we'll do, as tools for you to come back to this sense of peacefulness, to train these new techniques in you, and, really help yourself find more of this peace more regularly. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Absolutely love doing this session as always. We're meeting again at the same time next week. And next week, we're going to talk about how to calm your nervous system through different breathing techniques. So that is next week on the agenda. If you have any questions about today, please feel free to email me at hello@authenticityremastered.com. And I'd love to chat with you if you have any questions at all. So thank you guys for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was great.
Really great.
You're welcome.
And I really hope that everyone,
Thank
was
you, Emma.
engaged. And we hope to see you next week and spread the word to other people. The beauty of doing a 4-week series is that it builds on each other, but you also don't have to attend each session if you're not able to. So please spread.
Hello, this is a call from your utility company.
Thank you guys so much. You're so welcome.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you very, very much.
Bye.
Thanks.
I feel very relaxed.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. Amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.